What's going on, everybody? This is Achilles WT coming at you with a brand new video, and in today's video we will finally be getting around to showcasing the latest hero addition to Heroes of the Storm, Tracer, first Overwatch hero in the game. And granted, at the most I've only really watched Overwatch. I'm not sure if I'm gonna play it yet, but I've watched it and found it to be very entertaining. I am actually pretty hopeful that they don't take too long to add a few more heroes from Overwatch into this game. Namely, I would say that I would probably want them to bring Reaper, Genji, and Hanzo next, but there's no guarantees or anything like that. But this video is about Tracer, and this is the first time that I'm showcasing her in her purple attire from the bundle that came out with her. At level 1, I'm going to be going for Slipstream. This is going to add an additional second of recall time, and I believe it lowers the cooldown of the ability overall. Now, the thing that I had to adjust to about Tracer, as you see, like her main thing is that she can actually shoot and move at the same time. She's the only hero in the game that can currently auto attack and move at the same time, unless you want to include a Rexar in that kind of equation. You know, seeing as Misha can attack for him while he's moving around, but she does that as one, where he does that as two. So the big thing that I had to get used to with Tracer is not being shy. Now, what do I mean about not being shy? It's basically playing it safe. Like avenues with other heroes where I wouldn't be caught dead doing stuff like that, like diving when I was low health. I wouldn't be caught anywhere doing something like that at all with any other hero in the game. Oh, I just canceled my own B right there. I wouldn't be caught dead diving into situations like that, especially with a squishy hero like Tracer herself. That is actually something that was done intentionally to make her fair, because her movement is really, really good and her auto attack is really, really good. So they had to kind of offset that by making her easy to kill as far as health goes. But once I got used to that, I started to get the whole point behind how you're supposed to play with her. You're not supposed to play it safe completely as far as her movement goes. You have to get ballsy out there. You have to be aggressive. If not, you get no real value out of her, and you kind of waste the pick if you're going with her in a Hero League setting. Another thing you want to actually make sure you take advantage of is the melee damage that she has from that W ability. See how easy we were able to actually get out of that situation when Stitches landed the hook on us? We're definitely not the ideal target for him to land a hook on, especially if we have a recall on deck. Now, the other thing that I'm going to say with me as far as using Tracer is that I'm definitely not shy about attacking anything. I will attack tanks no problem if they're the only target present, as you see right there. And I do actually have my heroic on deck, and I did miss it right there. That was actually me just kind of rushing that one. I'm going to go for, is this a health pack, to try and help with her survivability a little bit. Now, one thing I will say is that the untouchable talent is not a bad one, but with Tracer being as weak as she is, there's no guarantees that you're gonna have the easiest time in the world staying alive, and that's something that you have to be mindful of if you're picking a talent like that. I actually did just miss out on a kill opportunity right there to try and soak XP. What was I saying? Yeah, untouchable. You do get a damage increase to her auto attack for every takedown you take part in, but the problem with that is that it's not permanent. It's like the original Gathering Power stacks, where if you died, you actually lost all of your stacks. So it's something to be mindful of, and you don't get as much percentage damage as you would with the original Gathering Power. That's the other thing. Now, I do have two people in this lane with me, so I definitely want to be careful. I don't mind giving away this wall if it means not adding a kill to their count. I should be receiving help up here. I've actually been pinging for it a little bit to start off this game. We do get an Abathur hat finally. But at this point, the damage is kind of done as far as that wall goes. I am going to make my way back down to the middle lane because it seems like there's a big fight brewing, and my teammates don't appear to be backing off. But then again, one of them being an Artanis could explain it. Oh, I missed my melee. We are going to drop that on Thrall. And it actually doesn't kill him. That's interesting. That's very interesting. But with that being said, we do hit level 7. Level 7, we are going to be going for Spatial Echo. Every time we recall, we get 2 charges of our Blink right back. I used to try and go for the bullet time one, but when I was trying to use bullet time, I found that I wasn't aggressive enough to warrant the pick. And ever since I started going for Spatial Echo, I've actually felt a lot more comfortable with the way I was playing. Which is, I thought he was going to go for a hook there. Kind of the obvious choice for a hook there. I'm going to try and put as much damage on this Rayman as possible. And just back away. There we go. I was actually kind of hoping that another teammate would actually seal that for me. Whoop. If I had a blink charge, there we go. I did miss my melee again, unfortunately. But we are going to secure that kill. I am going to blink just to kind of get myself away from that a little bit. Or recall, excuse me. Now that's kind of the upside about picking that regen globe talent. It's really not something that will save you, but if it gets you a little bit more health back, and like you really need Tracer to have as much health as possible. So that's really the big reason I pick that when I do. I don't really find myself going for the bombs at that talent because I don't necessarily feel like I land them all that often to warrant the pick, and that's really just a me thing. If you feel more comfortable going for it, I would say by all means do that. But like it's just for my playstyle, I actually don't feel like I'm using it all that well, so I don't pick it. And that's really the only thought process behind that. I am going to rotate down to the bottom lane because I feel like Thrall is going to be more aggressive than Morales in the top lane. I think Morales is just going to run away as soon as she sees danger. Where Thrall, we might actually get something going on him. See, we did get him to back away. Tracer's the kind of hero that once you get comfortable with how she shoots and how she moves, really the rest is easy. But it's just the point of getting used to that. Now I am going to try and pick up this wave clear here with Artanis because we are very close to having 10. The other thing I have found myself having to get used to is having her heroic at level 1. When I was first using her for the first few levels that I had her, I found myself not really using her heroic all that much at all because I was used to waiting until level 10 to have one. So that was a big adjustment that I had to make again. As of this recording, I actually feel extremely comfortable with Tracer, but it took me a while to get there. I have no problem throwing that out there. It was definitely not a fast process. Interesting heroic by Zul right there. Whoa. I don't think we should be engaging Thrall or Stitches right there. Right wing could just teleport, which you see she did. Stitches is going to soak XP to get his team to 10. And now this is going to become interesting. Oh, gotta get me out of there. Oh, right wing with the save. We're going to put a little bit more damage out there. We're going to get some healing done and then get right back in the fight. Fortunately, we did lose our Zul. Actually, no, we didn't. We lost our Artanis. That's even worse. We got to push this wave back a little bit if we're going to try and contest. Not worried about Greymane in the slightest bit, actually. And we're just going to recall. That'll get us out of there. That's one. Not a smart play by Greymane. Or I should say not a necessary play by Greymane, really. Do definitely need that regen glow, but I'm not going to get myself killed for it. I will, however, do that. Oh, that's not going to go anywhere. This is exactly why I like that talent on level 4, because it does a good job of getting me back to a good situation health-wise. We got to get more aggressive. I feel like I haven't been around in fight situations as much as I would want to be, so it's definitely something that I want to change moving forward. Now, with that being said, that's exactly why I'm going to be rotating to the top lane to help my teammates, because they definitely need me as a source of damage to be there with them. They are going to get Thrall, or not. He's doing a good, like, well, I don't want to say a good job because it's really not his call, but he's not dying when I put that heroic on him at all. I'm just doing it a little too early, I think. At the same time, though, we did actually secure that fall stat kill, so there is that. Here's another one that I actually find myself liking. I like to go for Ricochet at level 13. Now, the usual, what I've seen like players doing with Tracer is going for the leeching shots at 13 to try and help with her self heals. But I didn't really feel like it was doing all that much, and I like the thought of having my bullets kind of do multiple fronts of damage, not just like hitting one target, but hitting multiple targets. And this is kind of where you see my damage output kind of like skyrocket a little bit. You see, we weren't actually able to do anything for that Thrall, but we did actually rotate back in time to get the Greymane. Or, yeah, it was Greymane. Artanis having a hat on him is a good look. I have to be mindful of the fact that I have another heroic on deck. This one will actually work. I am going to reload ahead of time. We should be very careful here. I think we should back away. Unless Brightwing can keep him alive. Actually, the Abathur clone could actually suicide for us. Really not losing much if we lose a clone. But we do lose a lot if we lose Brightwing. You see, I'm not hesitating in the slightest bit to attack anything, really. If Stitches wants to keep presenting himself as a target, I have no problem putting shots on him because again, I have the Ricochet talent. So even though I'm putting shots on a tank, they're actually deflecting off to the other heroes at the same time. So it's like shooting two people at once. Very, very worth it. Would also like to point out that I would very much love to get down here into this fight. And we do. Not sure how Greymane got caught right there, but it definitely wasn't an ideal situation for him to be in. Let's say I really wish I had a blink charge. That was a good swap by Artanis. Seems like we have a fairly decent Artanis on our team. He's actually making plays for us. Well, actually, no. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go down here and help Zul. Again, I'm trying to play as aggressive as I possibly can as far as like where I'm going and what I'm doing. Shit, I did miss right there. Big time. That was just a good barrel roll right there by that fall stat. Now, we are going to be going for Sleight of Hand at level 16, if it would click. This is actually going to lower the cooldown time, basically, of our reload so that we're shooting more often. Right wing, if she has a blink, yes, thankfully she does. And again, my shots are ricocheting off to other heroes. So that's the only reason I'm like really not hesitating at all to put shots on whoever's in the front, even if it's Stitches. Not worried about that. Damn. That was a big miscue right there. See the enemy team starting to make its way up. I'm going to ping danger to my teammates. Stitches actually does Brightwing a favor. We are going to just put as much damage on Thrall as we can. He's not going to survive that one. Or maybe he will. Stitches is definitely not surviving. There we go. Artanis does the absolute right thing, channeling right there. I don't think he should recall right there. That's a little scary. I always get scared when I see teammates do that. And the good thing about Ricochet is that even if I'm not shooting another hero, if I'm shooting minions, the priority is heroes. So I could shoot a minion, and conceivably, half of those shots will still ricochet off to an enemy hero should he be standing close enough. So again, it's a very strong talent. It's very good. We're not too far behind on the Artanis now at this point. I am actually going to go back up. Right Wing's actually leading in kills. That's nuts. We have a 2-level advantage as well, so that's definitely something we don't want to squander. We're about to have a 3-level advantage, actually. So, let's get aggressive on this Greymane. Huh? Not worried about this. I don't even need a heroic for him. I did land that. Fortunately, though, Morales did a very good job of actually bringing him back up to speed. Rayman's going to get himself killed again. And we're going to secure that. I can outshoot. I believe I can outshoot Morales' healing to some degree. That was a fairly obvious hook coming, so I wasn't worried about that. Definitely want to stay as close to Brightwing as I can. And just like that, our damage is that much better. Took a little while, but now we're starting to get into the places that we're trying to get into. We have good map control right now as well. That's interesting. I didn't notice we took that many forts. I'm just gonna channel this because I see the enemy team is far away at this point. This just could have hooked me off of that if he wanted, or if he was a little bit closer, I should say. We are gonna go in on a straw. He has no way to get out of that. I have no blinks. That's not going to do much. But piss me off. There we go. Did unfortunately lose our Artanis. That's not going to do anything. Did actually get to stick Stitches right there. That'll get him to back off. Level 20, we're going to be going for total recall. Every time we use our recall ability, we heal. Definitely going to back away here because I do not want to put our Brightwing in a bad spot. Abathur doing a good job of actually jumping on that shrine while we were fighting. Everything going good right now. Again, it took a little while to find myself in the right spots, but now we're finally getting there, so at least we're making a game of this. I do like this Zul's pressure that he's putting on these forts. Very much so. Here we go, that's another one. And we should rotate up to the top lane. Can't do it without Zul though, so I won't. Right wing, interestingly enough, getting ballsy on the Thrall. Oh, I missed! But we still got him. We should go for boss and just end this. Or we could protect Brightwing and get the Greymane out of there. You know, if he wants to feed. Right now, at this point, the teammates are feeling it. Can't say that I'm upset about that. I don't think we should cross that line, though. I damn sure don't want to cross that line as a Tracer, that's for sure. Now, what we should have did right there with the enemy team pressing that camp, or pressing that fort, was rotate to the bottom one and just take that to keep to maintain our number advantage. And I really hope, yeah, that's exactly what Zul needs to do, is push this lane in a little bit so that we keep pressure on that fort. I am definitely not going to be the one to volunteer myself for channeling. I actually wanted to melee right there, but I didn't. We did melee Stitches, though. Tried my best to actually stay on that Stitches. Actually, I am going to recall to heal a little bit here as well. We're going to stick Greymane, and that'll take care of him. Get a regen globe in the process. We get the fort. Could go back and channel right now, but I really want to stay with my team here. Abathur, if anything, could actually go grab it if he wants. Kills are just piling on now. This is great. Outslaying the enemy team 26-7. Yeah, you see it right there. It was, for me personally, it was a slow start, but now we really got the ball rolling, so this is actually becoming something good. I've had some really good luck with Tracer to start. I think I've only lost like one game with her so far, and I'm working on getting her to level 7. But that's not all a result of like me playing well, and I have no problem admitting that. The enemy team is actually going for boss right now. Or no, they're not actually. Morales is in a very bad spot here. This is unfortunate. Not sure why she was there, but it does seem like the teammates are trying to kill farm a little bit here. Falstad having none of it. And we lost Artanis somehow. I'm not sure why we don't just go for boss and just end the game. Oh, that's why. Because we had bottom lane pushed in. I'm an idiot. That makes more sense. Shows my awareness. I'd rather have a lack of awareness when I'm winning rather than a lack of awareness when I'm losing. But hopefully you enjoyed that video. Tracer is definitely every bit as fun as she was advertised to be. It's just the point of getting used to how she moves, how she attacks. Once you get over that hump, it's pretty much an easy thing from there. But I will say that for me personally, getting used to her style was not easy because I'm used to playing aggressive and cautious at the same time, not just one. So like Tracer having a get out of jail free card goes a long way towards getting her style down. And you see, I said that we were working towards level 7. We actually are already at level 7, working towards level 8. So that's a mistake on my part. We did finish with 10 kills and 14 assists. We only missed out on 3 kills. So for all that talk I was saying about not being involved in team fights, I only missed out on 3 somehow. I'm not sure how that happened, but we did pull off 75,000 hero damage in 20 minutes. So that's definitely a good look. Pretty much what you're aiming for. I'm actually shocked that there wasn't a Tracer on the enemy team. I just noticed that. But for people wondering about the build, at level 1, I went for Slipstream. Again, this adds 1 full second to the recall time, and it also reduces the cooldown of recall by 4 seconds at level 4. Me personally, I go for Is That a Health Pack because it helps her stay alive. When I get regen globes out of there, it makes sure that I get the most value out of the regen globes, so that, because if it's one thing that Tracer suffers for all her mobility and all her damage and all that other good stuff, she is very easy to kill as far as like dying fast. So that's the trade-off. So that's the idea behind picking the regen globe talent. At level 7, I go for Spatial Echo because every time I recall, I get 2 charges back right away. At level 10, I go for Pulse Rounds, increases the Pulse Bomb's range and charge rate from basic attacks against heroes by 150%. Basically, this just means that you have your heroic on deck a lot more often. And again, if you remember, you have her heroic from the onset. So that's also something that you have to get used to, especially if you play every other hero in the game, basically, a lot. You're used to getting your heroics at 10. With Tracer, this is not the case. You get her heroic, that's hard to say. You get her heroic right from the onset of level 1. At level 13, this is one that I personally love, Ricochet. Your basic attacks have a 50% chance to hit another nearby enemy, prioritizing heroes. So again, it does not matter what you shoot at. There's a 50% chance that those bullets will ricochet towards whatever heroes are around. So if you're shooting the tank in the front line, half of those shots in that clip are still going to be hitting whoever's next to him or whoever's behind him. So essentially, you're putting shots on two, excuse me, 2 targets at the same time. Apologize for that. The other thing I want to point out about this talent is if you notice, there's only 1%, 50% chance to hit another hero. There is no mention of the fact that this does not affect your damage output. The damage output is exactly the same. Usually when you see splash effect, you see that the splash damage is nerfed to a degree unless they give you a talent later on to kind of buff the nerf, if you will. With Tracer, there is no such nerf. You do the same exact damage on target 2 as you do on target 1. The only difference is you're only doing it for half the clip. So when you tack on Sleight of Hand at level 16, that reduces the reload time by 50%. This equals 20% more damage per second. You're shooting a lot more often, which means you're ricocheting a lot more often too. So that all adds up. And finally, at level 20, the recall ability again gets another buff where recall heals you to equal to the amount of health you lost during that time. So again, this just helps with her survivability. So that is my Tracer build. It's something that I personally like. I don't think it's a build that works for everybody necessarily, because I do think that more confident players and frankly more skilled Tracer players out there can make her other talents work. I just don't trust myself enough. Like, I tried the untouchable talent once and actually got my stacks all the way up. I only died once the whole game, but it's not something that I felt super confident with, like, as far as going into Hero League. So that's something that I don't do. And again, me personally, I don't have the whole science behind the bomb talent down, so I feel more comfortable going with the regen upgrade instead, so that globes are going to be everywhere, basically. Wherever Tracer is, she's going to have globes just sitting there, so why not have the globes do more healing than the standard globe? That's just my thought process. It helps with her survivability. As always, I appreciate the support. We actually managed not to die at all in that game, which actually goes a long way towards our kill count and our damage count. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate the support. This is Achilles WT. As always, that's Achilles with a Z. Remember it.